Hello and welcome to another Call of Dragons video. I'm Sergeant J and we're talking about the Elite Miasma Giant fight. I'm skipping straight to the Elite because the normal giant is not hard to kill. However, if you don't understand these skills up here in the top row, you're not going to be able to kill them very fast. My alliance learned that the hard way. The video that we watched, unfortunately, that was shared to the alliance was kind of hard to understand. Uh, Thick accent, bad job of explaining the fight. And so I'm making this video to try to help people in the future to actually be able to understand what they're doing and defeat the elite miasma giant on the first try and hopefully get the frame for your alliance. So first I'm going to go through the bottom row, then I'm going to show you the map of strategy. Okay, so you can't debuff the giant, that's normal. Okay, forward arcing attack that should only hit the tanks. That's why the tank needs to proc or aggro the giant, and everyone else needs to be on the opposite side. Same thing here. Okay, here's the whirling plague. Okay, if you're ranged DPS, don't stand next to the giant because he'll hit you with this. Okay, it goes 360. We'll get to that in a second, and that to a second. Okay, um, the giant has a forward path where he hurts people, kind of like the bear. Okay, the bear charge. The giant also is going to make a forward rectangle. Basically, if you're within the path of danger, there should be a little thought bubble that pops up above your legion saying, get out of the way. That's your cue to move out of the way. Okay, pretty simple. If there is no thought bubble, then you're in safe territory and you can just keep on attacking the giant and not even worry about it. Um, Now let's talk about just definitions. Okay, rot pools. These are the green orbs that appear on the map. Okay, 6 to 12 of the legions in the pit will be marked with a green circle. Okay, as you can see, it gives you 10 seconds to deposit that green orb in a location that can be collected later on by one of the tanks. Okay, um, so it says that they explode when a legion comes into contact with them. Basically, about 1 second after the green orb appears, in the first second, it won't pop, so you're okay to run away from it. But after that, even getting close to it will pop it, okay? So it's important to get well away from all these green pools unless you're purposefully popping them, okay? Especially if you're DPS. As it says, it does 10% damage to your Legion if you're within range of it when it pops. The most important part of it, though, the reason why you want to avoid it is it's going to dispel one of your stacks of Plague Ward. Okay, so before I show you the little map screen that I made, let's talk about the Plague Ward. Okay, Cleansing Mana Stone. Okay, in the first phase 1 of the fight, there should be a cleansing, about 4 cleansing mana stones that appear. They're easy to recognize because above the stone will be a number between 8 and 22 saying that between 8 or that many players can collect the mana stone before it disappears. Okay, you can only collect 1 stack of cleanse per batch. Okay, if you're lucky, you'll get 2 sets of cleansing mana stones before phase 2 starts. However, most of the time there's only 1. Okay, but you want to have 1 to 2 stacks of cleanse at all times because of the mechanics of these other skills up top. But before I get to those, I do want to show you this image that I created. It's kind of janky, but you know, it works. So basically what you want to do is divide your pit into 3 sections, you know, delineated by these 2 red lines. Okay, tanks should be to the right of, in the right column. I'm going to call these columns. So right column, you should have 3 tanks, 4 tanks if you don't have any cavalry on the field. But cavalry are good at both attacking and popping green orbs if necessary. Okay, the middle column should be for depositing green orbs. Leadership really should mark a spot like in the middle of this green circle saying deposit green orbs here or drop green orbs here. That way people know where to drop them, okay? You don't need to stand like away from the other players that have the green circles around them. Every player with a green circle should go straight to the marker as soon as they see the green border around their screen indicating that they've been marked. They have 10 seconds to get to this marker and drop their rot pool. Once they drop the rot pool, they'll see a little green orb appear above their head. They have 1 second to clear the area. You have to be outside of this radius um, in order to be safe from popping it inadvertently, from accidentally popping it, okay? However, you need to be outside of this radius of this red circle to not be damaged by the green orb in case it gets popped by someone, okay? Ideally, everyone will avoid them except for the tank that gets marked with this little dark green circle with a little giant head, a little picture of a giant's head above them will appear, telling them, hey, you're the tank with the ability to pop all the green orbs without doing damage to anybody. Okay, so ideally, all 6 to 12 of those rot pools, all 6 to 12 of the players that got marked will make it inside of this green circle and drop the rot pools here, and then use that 1 second after the green orbs appear to get the heck out of the green circle, okay? And then you want to, again, you want to be out of this red circle before you start attacking the giant again, okay? Now, what this means is that some of the green orbs will be here, some will be here, some will be here, some will be here. It's kind of like when you go to the shooting range and you fire your gun or your rifle, you end up with this shot group. You know, the orbs won't all be on top of each other. Ideally, they will be, but some of them will be like in random places, okay? You need to imagine that there's a red circle of this size around every single one of those green orbs and try to get away from it, okay? So this is the radius. It's a big radius that you need to move away from every green orb in order to be safe. The reason this is important is because um, if you run out of cleansing stacks, right? You hopefully have two stacks of cleanse. If you get to 0, then you start being affected by the really powerful skills, one of which um, takes out 40% of your legion, 40% of your max HP. Okay. And if you get hit by 2 of them in a row, it's insta death. Okay. So that's why it's important to always keep 1 stack of cleanse on you. So if you have 2 stacks, you can stand near one of the green orbs and hope that nobody pops it. Okay, so now that you understand the setup where the DPS should stand, where the tanks should stand, and the radius of being safe or not safe around each of the green orbs, and also what the symbol is that appears over the tank that has the detox. I'm going to call it detox. It's got a different name in the game. Now that you understand what everything looks like and what the distance is for both, like I said, this is the distance that you want to stay away from the orbs so as not to pop it accidentally. This is the distance you want to stay away from the orbs so that you don't lose your stacks of cleanse, okay? Because those are probably the most important mechanic in the game, is to always keep at least 1 stack of cleanse on you if you're a DPS. Okay, the other thing to remember is if this tank that gets marked with the detox symbol fails to collect all the orbs in this center column, then it's incumbent on some other players to just go and pop the orbs on purpose, because eventually the giant will absorb all the orbs on the field, which both heals the giant and hurts everyone, does damage to everyone. So we'll get to that now. Let's get rid of this and go back over these skills. So we talked about the rot pools, okay? Um, if you're standing within that red circle, that imaginary red circle around the rot pool, then you get 10% of damage and you lose your stack of plague ward. Okay, stack of cleanse as I called it. Cleansing Mana Stones, you can only get one of those each time a batch of Cleansing Mana Stones appears, and you want to always, always, always grab one of them because you can never have too many stacks of cleanse. Okay, this we already talked about. Okay, Healing Mana Stone, that's going to appear towards the end of phase 2. Everyone in the party basically wants to grab both of them, so everyone needs to go to the same one together, and then everyone needs to go to the second one together, because even if you've lost over half of your health, grabbing 2 healing stones will revive you to at least 90% health, which is super good for DPS that are trying to do damage. I suppose you don't need both if you have 60 or 70% of your health. You just need one, but you want to make sure to grab them anyway, just because if you don't, then you're failing your allies, right? You're gonna let your tank die or something like that. So anyway, let's move on to this. You can see for some reason they put it on here twice, but it's only one skill. Okay, when the giant consumes billowing fog, billowing fog um, is part of this mechanic here. So let's talk about this one first. Okay, Miasma Giant absorbs all the miasma in its layer. Okay, so when phase 2 starts, you'll see the whole layer turns green. That's miasma. Okay, when the giant does Fog Devour, he absorbs all that miasma and replaces it with a stack of billowing fog. Okay, so you can see um, at the end of phase 2, he consumes all his stacks of billowing fog. It stuns the tank that he's attacking and inflicts toxic discharge. Okay, so toxic discharge is important. That's the detox tank that I was talking about earlier. Whoever receives toxic discharge gets a little giant head, a little green giant head appears over their head, telling them, hey, you're the one that can pop all the rot pools without taking any damage and without doing damage and dispelling Plague Ward from your allies. However, the player that has the Toxic Onslaught, oh, not that, the player that has the toxic Discharge will have a red ring around it. So I showed you guys the green ring. That's the radius where you can dispel rot pools with that green ring. But there's a bigger red ring around it, which is the same size as the red ring that I showed on the screen earlier. Imagine there's a red ring of this size around every single one of those green rot pools. Because when the detox tank moves in, this guy with this head over it, when he moves in, he's got another red circle around him of this same radius here, that anyone within this distance of him as he's moving around, and he's not going to be stationary, he's going to be walking around trying to pop green orbs, all those players are losing 2% of their health per second. So that's why it's important to get back over here, even if you had to run over to the middle here to deposit the rot pool. You want to move back over here inside this blue circle before you start attacking the giant again. And if the giant's still in the middle for some reason, tanks should keep him on the right, in this right column. If the giant's still in the middle for some reason, then this blue like arc here, it needs to be further to the left, okay? You want to make sure to stay well away from the green orbs. All right, now the other thing to keep in mind is there's always one, right? There's always somebody that deposits a green orb like way over here. Some people, they see the green circle appear around them and their screen turns green on like a border here is all dark green with vines and stuff. And they get scared and they think it means that they need to move away from their allies and they go to a corner like an idiot. Okay. They think it's the Thunder Rock or something and that they're going to hurt people that are close to them. That's not true. You have plenty of time, 10 seconds to deposit the green orb inside this green circle. And then, like I said, you've got a full second to get out of the green circle, and then another however long you need to get back in a safe distance from the green circle to start attacking the giant again. And you want to make sure you do that. Don't be like me and lose all your cleansing stacks and then lose 40% of your health when the giant does his billowing fog. billowing fog skill. But what I was trying to explain is there's always one or two people that runs to the corner or something and drops a green orb out here in BFE where the detox tank has no chance in hell to um, to detox that orb and pop it without any damage. In that case, one of the DPS units that has at least 2 stacks of cleanse needs to go walk over to that orb and dispel it. Okay, take one for the team. If you have 2 stacks of cleanse, then it won't actually affect you in the long run. You'll still be able to deal plenty of damage to the giant. Um, However, if you only have 1 stack of cleanse, don't be a hero and go pop it. Save your HP, save your health to do damage to the giant. Okay. So I hope that explains it for everyone. Did I miss any skills? I didn't really talk about this. Okay, it says after short charge up, the Miasma Giant's going to create 1 stack of Miasma in its lair, up to a maximum of 3 stacks. Um, this one isn't that important as long as you keep your cleanse. Okay, this one here just means you have 8 minutes to complete the fight. It looks like I've covered everything pretty thoroughly. I feel like there's one more thing though that I'm missing. Oh yeah, if you don't pop these rot pools, right? I was just saying one of the DPS that has 2 stacks of clans needs to go pop the random ones that are not in the center column, that are in the left, especially if the rot pools appear in the corners. The other reason you got to do that is because in the elite fight, it's not here. He's going to be healed 2% for each of those green orbs that he absorbs. Okay, don't let him do this. As soon as the Miasma Giant starts healing himself, that's when your alliance starts having an uphill battle on its hands and becomes much tougher to win. Okay, if the giant absorbs more than like 4 of these orbs, uh, that means that the next round of green orbs, he's probably going to absorb even more than 4, and it's just going to become impossible to kill him. So that's why it's also important to pop those green orbs if they're far away from the detox tank. So there should always be somebody with 2 stacks of cleanse that can go and do that though. So as long as everybody understands the mechanics and watches this video, your alliance should have no problems defeating the Miasma Elite Giant on the first or second try. Okay, now I'm going to show you a video of my alliance defeating the Miasma Giant. It was our 7th try. We'd already defeated it once. It was our second giant, basically. And despite only having 37 people in the pit and hardly any T5s, we were able to defeat it. So really, just understanding the mechanics of the rot pools and the cleansing stones is the most important thing, and it gives you plenty of chances to make mistakes and still get the win. So you'll see that right now. Basically, the most important thing is that all the players deposit their orbs in a spot that's close enough for the tank to grab. So if some people deposit them up here and others deposit it down here, then the tank's not going to have time to go get these ones and those ones. Well, he might. But the problem is there's always somebody that's like in this left third of the pit depositing their orbs that the tank just doesn't have time to go get. So at least if the alliance decides, okay, we're going to deposit the orbs in the middle bottom or middle top, then the tank should have enough time to go gather all the orbs, um, even if there's like a random one parked somewhere. Anyway, I'm going to pause the video and restart it as we get closer to starting. All right, the battle commences. See how this goes. As a tank, I asked them what the order was going to be. Did anybody say the order? No. So we're probably going to lose since we have no coordination. Um, anyway, I know I need this cleansing stone because I had my mask on and then my buddy, I think, was trolling me. and said some nonsense. So I went and got this my necklace. Anyway, so it's important to get these cleansing stones because you can get multiple stacks. I guess I'll play around with it now. I've got 2 stacks. Okay, I guess I'll start attacking. I need to turn off my auto artifact. Alright, so here's phase 2. So people are going to get marked. Their screen will turn green. I guess I'll take aggro. Okay, players who are marked, like, they didn't deposit the green orbs in the same spot, which really sucks. And then soon a tank will be marked as our detox tank. It's not me, so I don't need to worry about it. I can just keep tanking this guy. Krampus. Krampus, go! He's supposed to be running around detoxing all the orbs. And he's not. So this is an automatic loss, thanks to the tanks not knowing what they're doing. You can see I'm pretty cynical at this point because I was up till 6 a.m. doing 5 failures just to get 1 success. And this guy, and I was watching my tank buddies running around actually that didn't have the detox ring and um, straight up exploding the green orbs on people like me. Okay, since I'm not a T5 tank, I don't really need to tank. Let's just get out of the way of this and gather this healing stone. Nice. 2 healing stones gets everyone basically to full health. You'll see that as a tank, my job's not that difficult because we have a T5 tank named Wax who's doing a pretty good job. Oops, get out the way. Okay, I need to hit this giant. Oh, Wax got it. We're not doing terrible. Actually, at 4 minutes, he should be below 800,000, so we are doing kind of terrible. But we still have 36 people alive in the pit, which means that basically nobody died yet. I think it's because we got lucky on cleansing stones. Everyone has stacks of cleanse. Anyway, I'll take aggro from this guy. Still possible to win. Okay, now there's a bunch of those orbs. I don't see who's going to be our detox tank. Hopefully it's me. So my Goresh is pretty fast. Nope, it's not me. It's whoever this guy is. Krampus again. And he's slow. Why is his Goresh so slow? Goresh has an infantry tree for talents. Most people got exploded on, so that means they've lost their cleansing. Krampus, go, you freaking nincompoop. This guy is terrible. Oh, there's two people now that can clear it. That's cool. I didn't even know that. Um, anyway, it looks like we might actually win, even though our tanks did a horrible tanking job. Um, although there's about to be more orbs, but the fact there's 36 people alive gives me hope. Okay, so we've got Krampus and we've got Wax. Wax knows what he's doing. Krampus does not. Is Wax gonna be able to get rid of all the orbs so they don't heal the giant? Yes, he did. Oh wow, just the fact that we have people that kind of know what they're doing was able to make all the difference. And we killed it on the first try with only 39 people in the pit. Good job, everybody. I'm definitely going to publish this video, even though I was complaining most of the time. Um, but I hope that it helps us realize that this giant actually isn't that hard to do as long as everyone stays alive, gets the cleansing stones. Actually, part of that is luck. Some of our battles, there were not cleansing stones appearing often enough for some reason, and that really hurt. So, anyway, good job, Penguins. We did it on the first try this time. Practice and experience definitely makes the difference.